FreeCodeCamp, and I am right now on the very first chapter of JavaScript because last day we have finished the entire certification of HTML and CSS, and now we are moving ahead with JavaScript. Without wasting any time, let's go ahead and resume from where we have left yesterday. So we are on step 30 where it says change your rows declaration to be assigned an empty array again. So we'll just change this and make it empty. Also change your hello string to use double quotes again. So we'll change this and use double quotes again. Generally it does not matter which of the two you prefer, but you will be want to be consistent in that choice throughout your project. And our code passed and we are 25% done with the project. Step 31. Declaring a variable with the let keyword allows it to be reassigned. This means you could change character later to be a completely different value. For this project, you will not want to change these variable values. So instead, you should use const to declare them. Const variables are special. First, a const variable cannot be reassigned like a let variable. This could throw this code would throw an error. Const variable name equals the string, and if we try to reassign the variable name with a different string, it doesn't work. A const variable also cannot be uninitialized, so this could code would throw error. So we can't uninitialize this variable and think of assigning a value to it later. That's not possible. So replace your let keywords with const. So all you have to do is replace it with const. And we are 26% done. You are now ready to start building your pyramid generator. Your character variable will serve as the building block for the pyramid. Okay, so hello might not work very well for that. So change the value of the character to be hash. We'll change this to hash. To generate a pyramid, you will need to create multiple rows. When you have to perform a task repeatedly until a condition is met, you will use a loop. There are many ways to write a loop. We are going to start with the basic for loop. For loops use the following syntax. In the upcoming steps, you will explore each component of a loop in detail. For now, construct a for loop that includes the term iterator. So we are going to construct a for loop iter iterator condition iteration. So we'll keep the body of it empty. Oh, they all have to be strings, and I missed that. Okay, that is what I was thinking, that I don't see any errors. The console was slow for some reason. Your loop now needs a proper iterator. The iterator is a variable you can declare specifically in your for loop to control how the loop iterates or goes through your logic. It is common convention to use I as a iterator variable in a loop. A for loop allows you to declare this in the parenthesis. For example, here is a for loop that declares an index variable and assigns it to the value 100. So we have for loop starting with a parenthesis, then we are declaring a variable index and assigning a value of 100 to it, and then we have second, third. These are the things which we'll discuss later. So replace the string iterator with a let declaration for the variable I. So first we'll replace it with let I, assign it the value of 0. This will give the I variable the value 0 for the first time your loop runs. The test in these uh, like examples are taking some decent amount of time, as I can see. The condition of a for loop tells the loop how many times it should iterate. When the condition becomes false, the loop will stop. In JavaScript, a Boolean value can be either true or false. These are not strings. You will learn more about the difference later on. For now, you will use the less than operator. This allows you to check if the value on the left is less than the value on the right. For example, count is less than 3 would evaluate to true if count is 2 and false if count is 1. Replace your condition string with a condition to check if I is less than count. Now mind you, the count variable haven't been declared yet. Okay, so step 36 is your iteration statement will tell your loop what to do with the iterator after each run. When you reassign a variable, you can use the variable to reference the previous value before the reassignment. This allows you to do things like add 3 to an existing number. For example, b is equal to b plus 3 would increase the values of b's by 3. Use that syntax to replace your iteration string with a reassignment value that increases 1 by 1. So we'll just change this and we'll say 1 is now equals to 1 plus 1, and we are correct. Your loop should now run 8 times. Inside the body of the loop, print the value of the I iterator. See what happens. So we'll do console log I. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if for people who don't understand, by the way, if anybody is following up until now, this is happening because count was declared in the last in the initial stage. Constant is count equal to 8. So this is the count we are referencing here. Okay, for people who are confused, you should see the number 0 through 7 printed in the console, one per line. This will serve as the foundation for generating your pyramid. Replace your log statement with a statement to push I to your rows array. So we will replace the log statement. So we to push I. So we will do push I into your rows. So we'll just write rows equal to push I. Um, I think it is push dot console dot push or push dot console. I think console dot push. Console dot push. This is a dot. Finally, it's correct. So it's the rows array. Then we put a dot push I. Unfortunately, now you cannot see what your loop is doing. So use let to declare a result variable and assign it to an empty string. So we'll do let result variable, assigning it to an empty string. An empty string is considered by quotation. Oh, empty string. Sorry, I'm making an array. What the hell? With nothing between them. Add a log statement to print the value of result. So if I do console.log of result, depending on which console you use, you might not see anything printed. To manipulate the result string, you will use a different type of loop, specifically a for of loop, which iterates over each time in an iteratable object and temporarily assigns it to a variable. The syntax for a for of loop looks like for constant dash value of iterable. Note that you can use constant because the variable only exists for a single iteration, not during the entire loop. So create a for of loop. We'll do for through uh, your rows array, assigning each value to a row variable. Just a second, guys. Yeah, I'm back. I hope you are able to listen to me still. Okay, moving on. To manipulate the result string, you will use a different type of loop, specifically a for of loop, which iterates over each item in an. So we are going to create a for of loop to iterate through rows. The constant. Okay. Remember in your previous loop that you used the addition operator to increase the value of I by 1. You can do a similar thing with a string value by appending a new string to an existing string. For example, hello is equal to hello plus double quotation world would add the string hello to the existing string stored in the hello variable. This is called concatenation. So in your for of loop, use the addition separator to concatenate the row value to the result value. So we'll write row equals row plus, no. So we'll write result equals result plus row. Yes, we are correct. Now all of your numbers are appearing on the same line. This will not work for creating a pyramid. You will need to add a new line to each row. However, pressing the return key to insert a line break between quotes in JavaScript will result in a parsing error. Instead, you need to use the special escape sequence forward slash n, which is interpreted as a new line when the string is logged. For example, line 1 is equal to line 1 plus forward slash n with a double quotation plus line 2. Use the second addition operator to the concatenate a new line between the existing result value and added row value. So we'll just add double slash double quotes forward slash n, and then we add a plus. Printing numbers won't result in a visually appealing pyramid. Now that you are outputting the formatted content of your rows, it's time to update your original loop. Instead of pushing I to the array, push the value of your character variable. So we'll just do character. Now you have a series of hashtag characters, but the pyramid shape is still missing. Fortunately, the I variable represents the current row number in your loop, enabling you to use it for pyramid shape is still missing. Fortunately, the I variable represents the current row number in your loop, enabling you to use it for crafting a pyramid-like structure. To achieve this, you will use the dot repeat method available to strings. This method accepts a number as an argument, specifying the number of times to repeat the target string. For example, using dot repeat to generate the string code code with a space in between. This is how the code is, which is first we'll do declare a constant variable activity with the double quotation of code exclamation mark and a space. Then we can do activity dot repeat three times, and we'll have the string repeated three times side by side. So use the dot repeat method to your character and give it I for the repeat number. So on the next line we'll do character dot repeat and put I here. You are getting closer. At this point, you are encountering what's known as an off by one error, a frequent problem in the zero-based indexing languages like JavaScript. The first index of your rows array is 0, which is why you start your for loop with I equals 0, but repeating a string 0 times results in nothing to print. To fix this, add 1 to the value of 0 in your dot repeat call. Do not assign it back to I like you did in your loop conditions. So all you have to do is put plus 1. The logic for formatting this pyramid is likely going to get complicated, which means it's a great time to extract the code into a function. A function is a block of code that can be reused throughout your application. Functions are declared with the following syntax: function, name, parameter, and open parenthesis and close parenthesis. The function keyword tells JavaScript that the name variable is going to be a function. Parameter is a variable that represents a value that is passed into the function when it is used. A function may have as many or as few parameters as you would like. Like a for loop, the space between the curly braces is the function body. Declare a pad row function. So we'll declare a function called pad row. Do not create any parameter variables yet. The function body should be empty. Remember that you need to use camel case for your naming convention. I think we forgot the this one. Yes. In order to use a function, you need to call it. A function call tells your application to run the code from the function wherever you choose to call it. Syntax for a function call is the function name followed by parentheses. For example, this code defines and calls a test function. Call your Pedro function. You're calling your Pedro function but not doing anything with that function call. All functions in JavaScript return a value, meaning they provide the defined result of calling them for you to use elsewhere. To see the result of your calling your Pedro function, declare a call variable and assign your existing Pedro call to that variable. So we will decide a call variable and assign it Pedro. Oh, we need a const. Okay. Now add a log statement to print the value of your call variable. Taking a slight break, we'll be back in some time. So we are back. So your call variable has an undefined value, yes, even though you defined it. This is because your padrow function does not currently return a value. By default, functions return undefined as their value. In order to return something else, you need to use the return keyword. Here is an example of a function that returns the string. Functions are cool. So we have a function demo returns function are cool. Use the return keyword to have a function to have your function return the string hello. So we'll go here and type in return and we'll say hello with an exclamation mark. When you have a value that is explicitly written in your code, like the hello string in your function, it is considered to be hard coded. Hard coding is a value inside a function might not make it as reusable as you would like. Instead, you can define parameters for the function. Parameters are special variables that are given a value when you call the function and can be used in your function to dynamically change the result of function's code. To add a parameter to your function, you need to add a variable name inside the parenthesis. For example, this demo function has a name parameter. So name sounds like a useful parameter. So go ahead and add it to your padrow function. So here we'll add a parameter called name. And once again we have this add. We'll have to wait for it to go away. Just a few more seconds. A function does not have to return a hard-coded value. It can return the value stored in a variable. Parameters are special variables for a function, so they can also be returned. So change your padrow function to return the name parameter directly. So we'll just write return name. If you open your console again, you will see that your paddle function is returning the undefined, even though you defined a return value. This is because parameters need to be given a value when you call the function. When you pass a value to a function call, that value is referred to as an argument. Here is an example of a calling a demo function and passing Naomi as the argument for the name parameter. So here's the function. We are calling the function and putting the parameter name as a string Naomi. Pass your own name as the argument for the same. So we'll have to pass here. Then so we should be done. Yes. So we are 46% done with the challenge. So before moving on, take a moment to review how functions work. Declare a function named add to number. So we'll just declare a function named add to numbers. This function should take two arguments. So it will take two arguments and return the sum of these two arguments. Then so we'll just put uh, a comma b and then return a plus b. So if I now then declare some variable and assign it the value of calling your. So we'll now define a const of some variable, assigning it the return of. hmm, Assigning the value calling. So we'll call the function add to numbers and we'll type in 5 comma 10 and then we'll console log, which basically means print the sum constant, and we have 15 here. It's correct. With the quick review complete, you should remove your add to numbers function. So we can remove the add to number function, some variable and log statement. So everything almost. Variables in JavaScript are available in a specific scope. In other words, where a variable is declared determines where in your code it can be used. The first scope is the global scope. Variables that are declared outside of any block, like a function or for loop, are in the global scope. Your character count rows, these are global variables. And when a variable is in the global scope, a function can access it in its definition. So here is an example of a function using a global title variable. So we are using constant title, and because it is declared outside of any parenthesis or any parenthesis basically, So now we can call the variable inside the function, and then if we print the demo, we'll know that this works. Okay, so this example would return Professor Naomi. Update your padrow function to return the value of concatenating your character variable. So we'll return something else to the beginning of the name parameter. Return character plus name. Update your padrow function to return the value of concatenating your character variable to the beginning of name parameter. Should work, and it does. So we have the code we are seeing right now is, we have it console logged, so there we are not seeing nothing now. Variables can also be declared inside a function. So these variables are considered to be in the local scope or block scope. A variable declared inside a function can only be used inside the function. So if you try to access it outside of the function, you will get a reference error. To see this in action, use constant to declare a test variable in your padrow function. So we'll declare constant and then declare this variable called test. Initialize it with the value testing. Then below your function, try to log below your functions outside. We'll console log, try to log test to the console. You will see an error because, so we can see reference error. So this error is because it is not defined outside of the function curly braces basically. So remove that console log to pass the tests and continue. So all you have to do is remove this console log and we can continue. Values returned out of a function are used by calling the function. So you can use the function call directly as the value it returns, or capture the returned value in a variable. This way you can use the value assigned to a locally scoped variable outside the function it was created. So for example, here we have a function, then we are declaring a variable name, giving it a value, then we are returning the name variable, the results. Okay, so we have console log get name function. Here we'll get camper cat constant. We are again declaring another variable outside of this function. Captured return value is equal to the function get name, and if we return this console log this variable, we'll get the same result of camper cat. So console log of name, if we do, we'll get a reference error because name was declared inside the curly braces. I hope you are following. If people who are not understanding, you can leave a comment and I will reply. To use your testing value, return it out of the padrow function. Returning out. So by updating your return statement to return only the test variable. So we'll just change it to test. And yes, our code passed and we are 50% done in the project. Below the return statement, log the string. This works. So we'll go here and say console log. This works to the console. After doing that, you will see that the string this work does not display in the console, and the console log this works line is grayed out. Oh, below the return statement. I am doing below the function here. Yes, it is grayed out and it does not show on the console. Copy the console log and paste it above the return statement. Now the string this work should appear in the console. An important thing to know about the return keyword is that it does not just define a value to be returned from the function, it also stops the execution of a code inside a function or a block statement. This means any code after a return statement will not run. Your first console log should come after your return keyword. We'll have to go back and put it here. Oh, we need both. Yes. Now your call variable has the value testing. So my call variable, this one, it calls Pedro of this camper, and it has the value of constant test equal to testing. But your function is no longer using the name parameter. Yes, it is not using the name parameter. Remove the name parameter from your function declaration. So we can just remove this. Then remove your camper chan from the Pedro call function. Wait. Also remove both console log from the Pedro function. So we can remove this and this, and we are seeing console log is call is testing right here. Because your function was no longer using the parameter, changing the value passed in the call did not affect it. Go ahead and remove the test declaration from your Pedro function. Also remove the return statement, so your function is empty again. So we'll just remove these two. It's empty now. As expected, your function now returns undefined, as you can see on the console, right? Your call variable is not necessary anymore. So remove the call declaration and the console log for the call variable. In order to know how to format a row, your pad row function will need to know which row number are you on and how many rows in total are being generated. The best way to do this is by creating function parameters for them. Give your pad row function a row number and row count parameter. Multiple parameters are separated by a comma. So we'll just put row number and row count. Remember, in an earlier step, you learned about return values. A function can return a value for your application to consume separately. In a function, the return keyword is used to specify a return value. For example, this function would return the given value to the first parameter. Yes, so if you put a parameter here, the return would be the parameter itself. So use the return keyword to return the value of the character variable repeated row number times. So we'll just go here, put return the value of character variable repeated. So we'll just put uh, character dot repeat number of times is row number, and our code is correct. A function call allows you to actually use a function. You may not have been aware of it, but the methods like dot push that you have been using have been function calls. A function is called by referencing the function's name and adding a first bracket parenthesis to actually the opening and the closing. And here's how to call a test function. So replace the character repeat I plus 1 in your dot push call with a function call for your pad row function. So all I have to do is replace this entire thing and say pad row, but with a double quotation, and it's correct. Your pad row function has two parameters which you defined. Values are provided to those parameters when a function is called. The values you provide to a function call are referred to as arguments, and you pass arguments to a function call. Here's a function call with hello passed as an argument, like this. So pass I plus 1 and count as the arguments to your pad row call. Like parameters, arguments are separated by a comma. So we'll have to do I plus 1 comma count, and we are correct again. You should now see the same bunch of characters in your console, which we do, filled with hashtags. Your pad row function is doing the exact same thing you were doing earlier, but now it's in a reusable section of its own. So use the addition operator to concatenate a single uh, space string to the beginning and end of your repeated character string. So we have a repeated character here. So all I have to do, use the addition operator to concatenate a single space to the beginning and end of your character string. So here's the character string, and here we'll add a plus, and as well as at the end. So we'll write plus with a space and with a space. Now step 69 is, now it is time for a bit of math. Consider a 3-row pyramid. So we will have to imagine a 3-row pyramid here, how it looks. If we want it centered, it would look something like this. The first row will have two spaces, one hashtag and two spaces again. Second row will have one space, three hashtags and one space, and fourth will have five hashtags. So empty spaces have been placed with interpuncts or middle dots for readability. These are basically spaces which I have said. So if you extrapolate the pattern, you can see that the spaces at the beginning and end of a row follow a pattern. So update your blank space strings to be repeated count row minus row times number. So here we'll have to write, so we'll just write uh, hi Pratmesh. I will remove the overlay comments for now because the screen is too small now. Now we're back. So empty spaces, this is update your blank space string to be repeated. Okay, so we'll have the blank, but we'll do a repeat function on it. Row count minus row number, and the same needs to be done on this end. Did I miss something? I hope not. Yes, we are correct. You can pass full expression as an argument. um, yes, so the function will receive the result of evaluating that expression. For example, these two functions calls would yield the same result, which is test 3 2s are 6 plus 1 7, and test directly 7. It's the same thing. So looking at the pattern again, this one, update the character value to be repeated 2 into row number minus 1 times. So if I look at the character value to be repeated 2 multiplied by row number minus 1. Open the console again and see the update. We have achieved a pyramid. We are 59% done. Your pyramid generator now functions as expected, but this is an excellent opportunity to further explore the code you have written. The addition operator is not the only way to add values to a variable. The addition assignment operator can be used as shorthand to mean take the original value of the variable, add this value, and assign the result back to the variable. For example, these two statements would yield the same, which is test equal to test plus 1 and test plus equals 1. So update your iterator for the statement in the for loop to use the addition assignment. So we have, this is the iterator, I equals I plus 1. So rather we'll write I plus equal 1. Because you are only increasing I by 1, you can use the increment operator plus plus. This operator increases the value of a variable by 1, updating the assignment for that variable. For example, test would become 8 here. So here we have let equals test equals 7, and then let is the variable declaration, and we have test plus plus. If this would have been cons, it would have been throwing errors because you can't uh, reassign a value to a variable which was declared as a constant. So replace your addition assignment with the incremental operator for your loop iteration. So all I have to do is put a plus, and we are good to go. And we have ads once again. Until then, let the ad roll on. Let me open up the chats for a second. Hi Prathamesh. Okay, we are done. Back to coding. Rather than having to pass I plus 1 to your Pedro call, you could use instead start your loop at 1. This would allow you to create a one indexed loop. Update your iterator to start at 1 instead of 0. So we can change this 0 to 1. The pyramid looks a little funny now because you are starting the loop at 1 instead of 0. You do not need to add 1 to I when you pass it to Pedro. Update the first argument of your Pedro, call it to be I. So we'll have to change this to I. Unfortunately, now the bottom of the pyramid has disappeared. Okay, this is because you have created another off by one error. Your original loop went from I values, I went for I values from 0 to 7 because count is 8 and your condition requires I to be less than the count. So your loop is now running from I to from 1 to 7. So your loop needs to be updated to run when I is 8 to. Looking at your logic, this means your loop should run when I is less than or equal to count. You can use the less than or equal to operator. So we can also use less than count plus plus. Sorry, count plus 1. That should also work, but whatever. So update your loop conditions to run I is less than or equal to. So the less than or equals, and now we have our original pyramid back. Comments can be helpful for explaining why your code takes a certain approach or leaving to do notes for your future self. Yes. In JavaScript, you can use double forward slash to leave a single line comment in your code. Add a single line comment above your function to remind yourself to change the code to a different kind of loop. We'll do change it to a different loop. JavaScript also has support for multi-line comments. Add multi-line comment. A multi-line comment starts with forward slash, then we have a star, and then the comment, and ends with star forward slash. So unlike a single line comment, a multi-line comment will encapsulate multiple lines. So use this to turn your current for loop, including the body, into a multi-line comment. So all I have to do is put forward slash, then a star, and end it with a star and a forward slash. Your pyramid has disappeared again. That's okay. That is to be expected. So before you create your new loop, you need to learn about if statements. An if statement allows you to run a block of code only when a condition is met. They use the following syntax: if the condition is met, then we have the logic. So create a if statement. So we'll do if, then we have a condition, and then we have a logic in with the colon. A statement with the boolean true as the condition. So if it is true, in the body print, so uh, uh, we'll do console log condition is true, and that's exactly what we see on the console on our right. You will see the string printed in the console because true is in fact true. So change the condition of if statement to the boolean false, and we won't see the statement to be printed now, as expected. Now the string is no longer printed because false is not true. But what about other values? Try changing the condition to the string false. So if I change it to the string, I think it will be undefined or something. I don't know. Let's see. did not return any value. The text has disappeared again. This is because false is a string which, when evaluated to a boolean, becomes true. This means false is a true the value. A true the value is a value that is considered true when evaluated as a boolean. Most of the values you encounter in JavaScript will be true the. Acha. A true the value is a value that is considered true when evaluated as a boolean. Okay, then the false value is the opposite. A value considered false when evaluated as a boolean. JavaScript has a defined list of falsy value. Some of them are false, zero, uh, an empty string, null, undefined, and not a number. So try changing your if condition to an empty string, which is a falsy value. So if I change it to falsy value, it will go empty. The console will get empty because condition is true. No, it's not. Okay, taking a few seconds break, guys. We'll be back in few seconds, guys. Just hold on. The text is gone, empty strings evaluate to false, so making them a falsy value. You will learn more about truthy and falsy values in future projects. So, in addition to if statements, JavaScript also has else if statements. Else if statements allow you to check multiple conditions in a single block of code. So, here is the syntax for an else if statement. So, if condition 1, then we have the code to run if condition 1 is true. Else if the condition 2, then we have a code to run if condition 2 is true, and then the third one, else if. So the condition, first condition is false, JavaScript will check the second condition. If the second condition is false, it will check the third condition, and so on. So below your if statement, add an else if statement that checks if 5. So here we'll add else if, and it uh, checks it if 5 is less than 10, which it is true. Okay, so then we have a action of some kind. Then inside the body of the else if statement, log the string this. So we'll do console dot log and write 5 is indeed less than 10. And if you print it, our code shows 5 is less than 10 because first one was false. This is a falsy value, and then this one is of course true. 5 is definitely less than 10, and which is why the code 5 is less than 10 string is printed out in the console. Sometimes you will want to run different code when all of the if else if conditions are false. So you can do this by adding an else block. So an else block will only evaluate if the conditions in the if and else if blocks are not met. So here the else block is added to the else if block. So at the end the else will be added, which says this code will run if the first and second conditions are false. So add an else block to the else if. So we'll add an else block. um, Inside the else block, log the string this. So we'll write console dot log, log, and we'll put the string. This is the else block. Now this won't execute because 5 is definitely less than 10. 5 is still less than 10. So that's what it shows. So to see the results in the console, you can manually change the less than in the else if statement by greater than. This will make the condition false and the else block will run. So all you have to do is change the this to greater, and now we have this is the else block running. Now that you have practiced working with if else statements, you can remove them from your code. Once you complete that, use let. So first we'll have to remove this entire thing and write let instead, to declare a variable called continue loop variable and assign it the boolean of false. Then use let to declare a done variable. So we'll declare a done variable and assign it a value of 0. A while loop will run over and over again until the condition specified is no longer true. So it has the following syntax: so while, the condition, and the logic. So use that syntax to declare a while loop with continue loop as the condition. The body should be empty. So all you have to do is put while, the condition is continue loop, and the body is empty. Should work, and it does. Right now, if you change continue loop to true, your while loop will run forever. This is called an infinite loop, and you should be careful to avoid these. An infinite loop can lock up your system, requiring a full restart to escape. To avoid this, start by using the increment operator to increase the value of the done variable inside your loop. So we will start by using the increment operator to increase the value of done inside the loop. So here we'll come done and we'll put increment of done variable inside your loop. The equality operator equals equals is used to check if two values are equal. So to compare two values, you would use a statement like value equals equals 8, and an if statement to your add an if statement to your loop. Okay, the statement. So inside the loop, we'll add an if statement, I guess. Should check if done is equal to count using the equality. So we'll do if done is equal to, wait, one again, count. We also need a condition, right? I guess. Yes, that is correct. The equality operator can lead to some strange behavior in JavaScript. For example, 0 uh, with quotation, which is basically it's a string. If we put it equal 0, a number, it'll come out as true, even though one is a string and one is a number. So the strict equality operator, there's a 3 equals number, okay, is used to check if two values are equal and share the same type. As a general rule, this is the equality operator you should always use. With the strict equality operator, with a 3 equal sign, becomes false, because while they might have the same value of 0, they are not of the same type. Update your done equal condition to use the strict equality operator. So all you have to do is put a one more equal sign. Well, done has reached the value of count. We want the loop to stop executing. So inside your if body, assign the boolean false to your continued loop variable. So inside this, on the second line of it, we'll assign continue loop equals false when the done and count variables are the same. To make your pyramid generator generate again, push the result of calling pad row with done and count as the arguments to your rows array, similar to what you did in your first loop. So we'll have to push the result of calling Padro. So we'll do push. Wait. So we'll Padro will push with done and count as the arguments to your rows array. Rows array. Where is the rows array? Acha, this one. So first we'll write rows equals this. Similar to what you did. I think this should work. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. No, it doesn't. Your loop should call dot push method on your rows. So we should put the rows dot push. Okay. Push the result of calling pad row. Pad row is a function, right? Huh? If we have row number and row count, so push the result of calling pad row with this. Struggling to understand slightly, but we'll get through. So push the result of calling pad row. So what are the two arguments for pad row? We have a pad row which takes two arguments. Pad row is a function we have created which takes two arguments, which is a row number and the row count. So we are pushing the rows. Rows is a empty array. So we are pushing the rows, and inside that we are pushing with one variable. We can't have two variables. So push the result. So we are pushing the result, not. So we are pushing the result here. Rows dot push result. Um, Push the result of calling pad row. No, we are calling pad row here. Pad row with done and count variable as the argument of your rows. As the arguments to your rows array, similar to what you did. So I think this is what is required. But are we assigning this value to? No, it will be pushed to the rows array, right? Okay, let's try. Yes, this time we are correct. Oh God. So this is why you'll have to read problems two times, three times, 10 times to understand fully before you go ahead. Which finally we did. The strict inequality operator, which is not equals, sorry, exclamation mark and then two equal sign, allows you to check if two values are not equal or do not have the same type. The syntax is similar to the equality operator. Value is exclamation mark 2 equals 4. So update your while loop condition to check if done is not equal to count. So we have this. Here we'll just do a exclamation mark, I guess. No, what did I miss? Your while loop should check if done and count are not equal. I think it should be outside of the if loop then. Oh, no. Done is not equals count. No. My while loop
Condition. Okay, the condition to check. Okay, the condition is here. Since you have moved the comparison into the while condition, you can remove your entire if statement. So this entire thing can be removed. And once again, we have ads. Until we go ahead with the ads, we can look at the chat for once. Your loop is no longer relying on the continue loop variable. This makes the variable an unused declaration. So this generally you want to avoid unused declaration to prevent future confusion. So remove the continue loop variable. We are almost done with this challenge, by the way. Your pyramid generator is still working. However, it could be possible to end up with an infinite loop again because you are only checking if done is not equal to count. If done were to be larger than count, or your loop would go on forever. Hmm. So update your loops condition to check if done is less than or equal to count. Less than or equal to count. Using done to track the number of rows that have been generated is functional, but you can actually clean up the logic a bit further. So arrays have a special length property that allows you to see how many values or elements are in the array. So you could access this property using syntax like myArray dot length. So update your condition to check if rows dot length is less than or equal to count. So myArray was the name of the array variable. Okay. Mm, okay, got me confused for a little while. So update your condition to check if so rows dot length is less than or equal to count. You can also replace the done reference in your padro call. Okay. So in my padro, where is the padro call? Here. So note that rows dot length would give you an off by one error because done is incremented before the call. So you will need to replace done with rows dot length plus one. When you do this, you may see a range error because we have created another off by one error. You will need to change the while condition to use less than operator instead of the less than equals. So first we need this less. Here we need rows dot length plus 1. Now you no longer need your done variable, so we can remove the done and the declaration of done. Oh, here. That's very clean and functional loop. Nice work. But there's still more to explore. Use a multi-line comment to comment out your while loop. So we'll comment out this while loop. What if you made your pyramid upside down or inverted? Time to try it out. Start by creating a new for loop. So we are creating a for loop. Declare your iterator. So let me give you the boilerplate of for loop. This is it. So declare your iterator I. So you have I and assign it the value of count. So let I equals count. Then use the boolean false for your condition and iteration statement. So false, false, false as a condition. Oh, I used comma. Oh god. Yeah, it's correct. Just simple errors. Because you're going to loop in the opposite direction, your loop needs to run while I is greater than 0. You can use the greater than operator for this. Set your loop's condition to run while I is greater than 0. Your iteration statement is also going to be different. Instead of adding, okay, there was a slight server error as I can see. So let me just refresh the page and come back. Just a second. So because you're going to huh, because you're going to loop in the opposite direction, your loop needs to run while I is greater than 0. You can use the greater than operator for this. Set your loops to condition to I is greater than, and which I have done already. This was not saved in the last attempt because server was busy, but now we are good. So it says potential infinite loop detected on line 18. Test may fail if this is not changed. So your iteration statement is also going to be different. Instead of adding 1 to I with each loop, you need to subtract 1 like you did earlier with I equals 1 plus I plus 1. Update your iteration statement to give I the value of subtracting 1 from itself. So we'll all I have to do is please write I equals I minus 1. Again, push the result of calling pad row with your I and count variables. So we'll push uh, dot push the result of calling pad row function with your I and count variables. I and count variables to your rows array. Open the console to see the upside down pyramid. I can see that. And once again, we have the add. People who want to follow on the future updates of this channel, please do consider subscribing. Just like addition, there are different operators you can use for subtraction. The assignment operator is minus equals. Subtracts the given value from the current value variable. Then assigns the result back to the variable. So replace your iterator statement with the correct statement using the subtraction assignment operator. So we'll have to do is minus equals. Okay, so we'll do minus equals, but okay, we are stuck in a for loop, by the way. Okay, we are stuck in a for loop by mistake. So the code was running and now it's running. So we got stuck in a for loop live, kind of, by the way, guys. Even though the code was not wrong, I was fixing the code, but before I could fix it, the loop was running automatically. That's why. So doesn't matter. We'll go back and fix it. Because you are only subtracting 1 from I, you can use the in decrement operator, double minus. Replace your subtraction assignment with the decrement operator. So we'll just do minus minus. Use a multi-line comment to comment out this loop as well to prepare for the next approach. This ad has become very frequent now, by the way. Like as we go ahead, it's coming too frequently. You can actually build the inverted pyramid without needing to for backwards like you did. To do this, you will need to learn a couple of new array methods. Start by using const to declare a numbers variable. Const numbers, assign it an array with the element. So we'll assign it an array with the element 1, 2, 3. Then log the numbers array. Console dot log the numbers array. The unshift method of a array allows you to add a value to the beginning of the array, unlike push, which adds the value at the end of the array. Unshift returns the new length of the array it was called on. So example code is, this is a array of 210. This is another array new length which equals the first one dot unshift 3. So this should be added on the start of this array. So now it has 3210. And if we do, okay, so now this variable has the length of the new array, and now the older countdown variable is a 4 length array with the value pushed at the beginning of the previous array. Okay, a little complicated, but with practice should be very easy for us to understand. Use constant to declare an unshift variable. So we'll declare a unshifted variable and assign it the result calling unshift, uh, and pass 5 as then print the unshift. So unshift should be 4, and the numbers should be now 5, 1, 2, 3. 4 is the length of the new array. Unshifted 4. Arrays also have dot shift method. This will remove the first element of the array, unlike dot pop, which removes the last element. Here's an example of dot shift method. So dot shift method will remove the first element of the array, dot pop, which removes the last element. Okay. Okay. So if we do dot shift, it will remove 1, and the numbers array would become 2 and 3. Directly below your numbers array, declare a shift variable. So const shifted variable and assign it the calling of shift on the numbers. On the next line, log the shifted variable to the console. So now if we log first this one, the shifted number is 1, the first variable, first element of the array, and the changed numbers is now 2 and 3. There we do an unshift of 5. So we have 5, 2, 3 as the new numbers array, and the unshifted is the length of the array, which is now 3, which previously was 4. So now that you have tried these methods, you can do another inverted pyramid approach. But first, you need to clean up your experimentation. So remove your numbers array and the method call and log calls. Means everything. Sometimes you may wish to bring back previous code that you commented out. You can do so by removing this thing around this code, that is called uncommenting. So uncomment your only your first for loop, leave the single line comment and the other two multi-line comments in place. Your pyramid is no longer inverted. This is because you are adding new rows to the end of the array. Update your loop body to add new rows to the beginning of the array. We should do unshift. Yeah, unshift. What if you had a way to toggle between an inverted pyramid and a standard pyramid? Start by declaring an inverted pyramid variable. Sorry, inverted variable. So, okay. Use an if statement to check if inverted is true. Okay, I should use here. If inverted equals equals true. So what should I do? If inverted is true, we have already. So should I not use one equal sign here? No. Should I declare it outside of the for variable? No. Okay, if I don't write anything, even that should work, no? Because it is true, right? Now move your dot unshift call into your if block. If your pyramid is not inverted, then you will want to have an else block that builds the pyramid in the normal order. In earlier steps, you learned how to work with else statement like this. If else, yeah, add an else block to your if block. We have if, now we have else. When inverted is false, you want to build a standard pyramid. Use push like you have in previous steps to achieve this. So if it is false, we want rows dot push pad row I count. Your pyramid generator is now in a finished state with more functionality than you originally planned. The next step is to clean up your code. Remove all comments, both single and multi-line, from your code. So we'll just delete this and delete this. Nice work. Experiment with different values for your character count and inverted variables. When you are ready to move on to the next project, set character to exclamation mark. Okay, count to 10 and inverted to false to continue. Now we'll have a uh, like straight straight pyramid, not inverted. And we have finished. So first was done. We can now review JavaScript fundamentals by building a gradebook app. Let's see how difficult it is. A teacher has finished grading their students' tests and needs your help to calculate the average score for the class. Complete the get average function, which takes in an array of test scores and returns the average score. The average is calculated by adding up all numbers and dividing by the total number of scores. Couple of function calls have been provided for you so you can test out your code tips. You can use a loop to iterate over the scores array and add up all the scores. You can use the length property to get the total number of scores. So this is the function we have, get average scores. So whenever someone puts the scores right here, they will get a average as the console. So right now it is undefined because the function haven't been defined. So for so for so we'll write for I, let I with I equals 0 and I less than with less than scores length. Length property. Length is not a function, length is a property. I don't know. I plus plus. Scores length is not the function. Scores dot length. Let average equals mm, it's something wrong, but let's check. Okay, not too bad. So right now we have 92 and 45, only returning the first one, the zeroth. So this function right here is not uh, not working. Why not? So this is score of the first value, zeroth. It has some numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The score's length should be 10. 0 is less than 10, so we'll go for 1. Should I not? Where's the problem? Right now the for loop is only, okay, I should, I am defining total score inside. Why can I not call it? What's the issue? So if I define the total score outside, will that work? So this total score is fine. Let total score equals something plus something. So this is the first value, 92. When it's reiterates, it should come and add to the value of total score. Score plus this. Now if I return total score, if I remove this, why is it not a number? If I remove this, it's fine. It shouldn't be plus. It should be push. Scores high. So first we'll have to define the total score as a
empty array. Now we don't need the let here. Now what is here 1? Let average equals 0. Average equals, now we also need the length. You're almost there, but something is incorrect. Total score. Why am I making it an array? It should be a number. I know. So if the total score initially was 0, we don't push it, we add it. We will do total score plus, you can define the total score outside and average also outside. Now we are getting somewhere, but it's not the correct answer yet. If I do this, it's not correct. So what's the problem? So we can look at the problem by returning different values, like return, this line is not going to operate. We'll just do return of, let's say let's return the length, length. It's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the function of length is working perfectly. So if I is like less than 10, we go I plus plus. So first we go 0, then 1, then 2. That way it's correct. So if I return scores I, then we have 92 and 45. Why? Because this is not working. The condition is not working. Do I need more space in here? Zero space problem. That shouldn't be I. If I do total score,
Let I is equal to 0. So all these functions are getting run in a single way, which you can't do. You just remove these, put it here, whatever. So if I now do total score equals total score plus score of I and return total score, then we go return average. mm, I'm going to put help. I should be able to do it. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult, but yeah, something I'm missing something. So to have sum of all numbers, we have for I equals 0. Should I do for loop or while loop? Of Let me reset the code first. Let me do while loop then. So while first we need something now. First we need to define the variable. There is no variable. So we can do I let I equals 0, or we can put the variable outside while I is less than scores length. So as long as I is less than scores length, we want
How come when I was doing it was not working, but now it's working? I came up with the same logic. B, C, D, E. F.